inside the underworld of software forensics, plus war driving and web cracking on your Mac. And we'll check out this week's killer bargains. It's the real deal. Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers! Woohoo!
Ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us on the Screensavers. This is the show that keeps you in close touch with the coolest stuff happening in the world of technology.
Tonight we have a great show. We found some amazing deals in this weekend's tech ads, plus a new scoop on memory, whether you should buy it from the factory or buy it yourself.
Thanks.
And we got a...
Software forensics.
Software forensics? Is that coming up?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
That's cool. It's basically a way to track virus creators.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
You war driving again?
Mm-hmm, with the Mac.
Kids Mac. Good stuff.
Now, at this time, we'd normally check in with Dan, but he's out today. He had soy milk poisoning. I kid you not.
That's better than the dirty George Foreman grill poisoning.
Yeah, he had that a while
back. It's a step up.
Yes.
Now he's healthy and having food poisoning.
Let's get right into it and check out the tech news that caught our eye today. Sarah has the first story.
I don't believe that for a second. He got sick from soy milk.
That's what he said.
No.
He's my roommate, and we had some cereal on Saturday morning.
He's
with
obviously
soy milk.
paying you not to tell the truth.
No, it was with soy milk, and he's like, my stomach, the soy milk got me. I'm like, dude, how do you get sick off soy milk?
Yeah, I'll buy like tequila and cornflakes being a stomach ache, but not soy milk. It's like the most benign substance on the planet.
It's for people that can't handle milk, and you get sick. I don't know.
Maybe it's an adverse reaction.
I don't know.
Whatever.
More news today from Sarah.
All right, for the first story, we head back to everyone's favorite decade, the 70s. Because it was 30 years ago today that Dungeons & Dragons was born. Happy birthday, D&D! Now, there are probably quite a few kids who don't remember life before really cool and exciting video games. So for those that need a refresher, Dungeons & Dragons, of course, was the phenomenon of people worldwide battling dragons, saving damsels, casting spells, performing miracles, and much more with just dice, paper, and pens. Can we even think of a world like that?
This was cool. Did you ever play D&D?
Yeah, mostly Car Wars later on.
Yeah, see, I
D&D.
I didn't play much D&D. I played a couple other role-playing games, but it's still popular. There's still a lot of people that do that. In fact, there's even slang that goes around it. Have you heard about the slang?
I'm afraid.
They go, rather than saying like, oh, that's cool, they'll go like, oh, that's +1. I kid you not. I've heard people say that. Like that. Yeah, it's kind of a freaky thing.
Sarah?
All right. Moving right along, online movie rental service Netflix is hoping to begin offering movies for download via the internet as soon as next year, 2005. Whoa. As Netflix's chief executive Reed Hastings told Reuters, our strategy is to get huge in DVDs and then expand into downloads. When we get to 5 million or 10 million subscribers, eventually what we spend on postage becomes a prize for the movie studios. What do you think, guys? Smart business plan?
I think it's cool.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, I was hearing rumors that this was going to happen, and supposedly you're going to be able to purchase a set-top box, bring it in your house, plug your Ethernet connection in, break it off from your router, and then pick the movies that you want, and after it caches for a little bit, you'll be able to watch any film that you want.
It'll be interesting. We've tested actually recently. We tested MovieLink and a couple other online services. Disney is coming up with another service. It seems like they're going to be taking DVDs out of the distribution, and the movie studios I think are going to try to do this as quickly as possible because they can't secure DVDs anymore.
That would be pretty cool if you had your entire collection on Netflix, or you were able to purchase actually a movie.
Yeah, if you were actually allowed to purchase it and keep it locally.
That would be cool.
The other thing is like, what if you purchased 200 of your favorite DVDs and you store them in some gigantic box and the box pukes? Do you replace them? You get to download them again? Is it like iTunes?
Yeah, iTunes. Them across one time you get to re-download it, but then after that it's no good. I don't know. We'll see. It sounds cool though.
Mostly, yeah. As long as you have broadband.
Yeah.
If you don't have broadband,
not going to work on the dial-up.
No. 7 days later.
120 by 240 window like this.
Exactly.
You watch movies that size. I can't quite see it.
Quite a crash.
Okay. All the different DVD specs like DVD plus R, DVD-R, DVD plus RW, DVD-RW, and DVD RAM have you confused, then prepare to be even more confused by the next generation of high-density discs. On the heels of releasing their new dual-layer DVD burners, Sony's announced shipment of a new high-density 23-gig optical disc called Professional Disc for Data, not to be confused with their other high-density disc known as Blu-ray, which stores 50 gigs of data. The new Professional Disc for Data uses a blue laser instead of the red laser used for DVDs. It's also worth mentioning at this point that Toshiba and NEC are working on their own high-definition DVD format known as HD DVD, which will store almost 36 gigs. What's it going to do?
I'm lost. It's like too much information. There's so many new formats. They're going to be fighting against each other.
We get like every day we get a fax or an email. It's like, should I buy a DVD burner now or should I wait for the dual layer disc burners that are coming out this summer? And it's like, well, should you wait for the dual layer disc burners or the Blu-ray burners?
The
or
Blu-ray
like
sounds cool.
NEC? Well, yeah, but
50
I don't.
gigs.
But will it be backwards compatible with DVD-Rs if you want to be able to burn DVDs where you're home? Will you need a DVD burner and a Blu-ray? I mean, 50 gigs on a disc is like wow, and they're going to be like $40 discs for the first 6 months or a year. But that would be like epic. You could store, most of it, it's 5 discs for a 250 gigabyte hard drive.
Yeah, it sounds cool. I would love to have a Blu-ray burner, but right now, actually, we've seen some prototypes. I've saw a couple online. They're like 10 grand.
Yeah.
So if you want to spend it, you can have.
It's like the early days of CD. It's like, well, yeah, if for testing purposes.
Right.
So yeah, you know what? We can't wait. And
sounds fun.
They'll actually ship. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Happy Monday, everybody.
Yes, happy Monday.
30th birthday at Dungeons & Dragons.
I know.
How cool is that?
Cool.
PD. Ross joins us on the Tech TV Netcam Network from Baltimore, Maryland. How you doing, Ross?
Hey, Ross.
Hi, Kevin. Hi, Pat.
How are you today, sir?
I'm doing wonderful.
What can we help you out with?
I'm thinking about upgrading my processor again, and I wanted to know the difference between the Athlon 64-bit FX series and the 64-bit 3000 series.
Wow. Well,
the FX are the high-end ones, right?
Yeah, well,
those are what we have at the LAN party.
Yeah, they're the big fancy ones. They've got double the memory bandwidth. They've got like 128-bit. I'm going to actually use my cheat card because I can never remember this. It's a 128-bit memory controller. The Athlon 64 is a 64-bit memory controller. The biggest difference, though, that's like one of the main differences. The really biggest difference, though, is take a look at the prices on that. I don't know if we can get a tight end on that.
I know the difference in the price.
Yeah. Well, here's why I'm telling you that is for the people who don't know the difference in the price, Ron. Athlon FX53 is in theory their hottest chip right now, $769. Their Athlon 64 3400, which is sort of their non-FX top-of-the-line chip, $400. So you're paying nearly double for the Athlon FX.
Is performance-wise, what have we seen in the labs? Well, is it worth it to go to the FX?
See, I was going to get to that last because the performance is the least promising part of the Athlon FX because it's supposed to be. It's got this memory controller. It's got this great design. It uses a different socket, which means you have to use a different motherboard. By the way, AMD is going to be migrating the Athlon FX and the regular Athlon 64s into the same socket 939 later this summer. The performance, indistinguishable on Unreal Tournament, indistinguishable on most of the video games we've tested, and it's a very minimal performance boost on a lot of the standardized benchmarks we have right now.
Now, you'd probably be able to see better performance if they went to a 64-bit operating system. We were running 64-bit Linux or things of that nature where it can actually take advantage of what this chip has to offer.
Or if for some reason, maybe if it's a compiling issue, like a lot of people are saying, well, the Pentium 4 chip, it's going to be amazing in like a year once the software is compiled to take advantage of the way they're structuring the pipelines. Truth is, Ross, if you ask us, it's an expensive chip that doesn't give you much benefit over the Athlon 64 3400 Plus. And it puts you on a motherboard which there are not going to be any processors for in a very short period of time. So if you really want to get an Athlon FX, I'd at least wait until they have the socket 939 chips coming out later this summer.
Yeah, now that they're going to that, are we telling people to wait? Should they wait for PCI Express and the 939 socket that's coming out? I guess if you need a PC now, you can't wait.
Yeah.
But if you can hold off a few months, it's probably worth it.
I'd say hold off for a month or two because a couple things are going to happen. More chips are going to be introduced. PCI Express is going to be coming out on motherboards. If you plan on sitting on your motherboard for a couple of years, it'd be nice to be able to take advantage of the next generation of graphics cards at the high end. If you're buying at sort of the middle to low end, I don't think it makes much of a difference. If you're buying at the high end, I'd definitely wait for PCI Express and the new sockets and the new chips. Did all that make sense, Ross, or am I talking
No,
way
it pretty much did. It means that $300 is not worth spending.
No,
there you go.
No, we're looking to find a benchmark. I mean, I think there's some memory benchmarks that go, this chip is amazing, but you don't run memory. You run applications. What are you thinking about using it for, Ross?
I do mostly photography. I do not play any games, but I'm paranoid about the hourglass hanging.
No, that
You won't
shouldn't
have
be a
much
problem.
hourglass hanging with this kind of CPU, though.
Yeah,
I mean, at that speed, we have some over in the lab,
Yeah.
and it's Windows, just amazing performance.
Yeah, take that extra $300 and buy another gigabyte or 2 or 3 gigabytes of memory. And
Or a
throw
hard
that on
drive,
there.
nice fast 10,000 RPM hard drive.
That would be nice,
Yeah.
actually. A Raptor hard drive, if you move a lot of big files back and forth across the system bus to the hard drive, that'll change your whole day.
Yeah.
Or not the 3000 series.
What's that?
Why not the 3000 series?
The 3000 series of what, Ross?
The Athlon 64-bit.
Like the
Oh, that's what I'm saying. No, get an Athlon 64, 3400, a 3200, or a 3000. What I was saying is rather than spending that $339 on chip to get the Athlon FX, spend that money on more memory
Right.
or on something like a Western Digital Raptor hard drive,
So
a 10,000 RPM.
Dump the FX
I have
altogether.
that.
Yeah.
I already have that. Okay.
You're halfway there.
Yeah, you got a better system than either one of us does, Ross. That's awesome, man.
That is awesome.
No, good question, and good luck on building that
Yeah.
system. That's going to be fast.
Thanks for the call, Ross.
He's already got a Raptor.
I know. I want one of those.
No kidding. Dude, we're just getting started. Ross, you got a better system than we do. A little later, learn all about the world of software forensics. A much nicer system than either one of us has.
Yes.
And after the break, we'll check out this week's Blue Plate Tech bargains with the real deal when the screensavers, guys, a nice system continues.
Time to upgrade.
I got an Athlon. Welcome back. Time now for our take on the latest newspaper tech ads. We call it the real deal. First up,
What do we have?
I did something stupid this weekend. I bought a 5.8, whoops, that's not my webpage. I hate it when that happens. I bought a 5.8 gigahertz cordless phone on sale without reading any reviews of it. I have no idea if it works. But for $50,
This is it right here?
this
the
is
GE?
it. I'm finally getting a chance to test a 5.8 gigahertz phone. If it doesn't work, I'm going to take it back to Best Buy because I got like 30 days to return
Right.
it, which I love that concept.
So tell me this, $50, 5.8 gigahertz. We always talk about how the 5.8 gigahertz, 8.8 gigahertz does not spread as far as the 2.4 gigahertz.
The problem is I've tested 5 gigahertz. I've tested 802.11a. I've tested 5 gigahertz cars. And something I've noticed, something Andrew Hahn in the lab have noticed is, in theory, right, the longer the wavelength, the better it should travel through walls and stuff. But we've noticed in some cases that we've had better luck with 5 gigahertz carriers like 802.11a than we have with 802.11b or G.
Interesting.
So in theory, right, I mean, basically what I'm going to do is I'm setting it up. There's a 16-hour charge on the battery the first time you load it, which is one of those incredibly annoying, like, if you don't charge it for 16 hours, the battery will disintegrate and be useless in 3 minutes. You know what I mean? Like one of those warnings.
What does that mean anyway?
I don't know. I figure I'm going to play it by the book. I can't say that phrase on television. I read the manual. Doing it their way. Yeah. You can tell the people in the audience are familiar with that feeling. And we're going to basically, though, I'm going to, a couple weeks, I'll give a review of it. I'm going to compare it to a 900 megahertz phone, a 2.4 gigahertz phone, and
So you can walk out in the
see what it
street,
feels
see
like.
how far you can go. and
Exactly.
just
I mean,
see
I'm not even going to do that. If it can get to the other side of my house, which like kills 802.11b, I'm happy with it.
Nice.
I'll be excited about it. Now, next thing, a few weeks ago, we bagged on Apple because their memory prices for their iBooks were incredibly high. So check this out. We got the new Apple iBooks, and we were pointing out that the price on memory for some of the notebooks they were shipping was like 20 to almost, I think it was like 200, just a huge premium you were
But it's
paying.
Apple memory.
It's
just so much cooler.
It's a spec. It's DDR266, PC 2100 RAM. If there's an Apple...
It's iMemory. That's
It's
awesome.
memory. It's an i ripoff, is what it is. Well, it was actually. I shouldn't say it now. Now though, check it out. We look at this. Basically, 256 megabytes stock. You can do 256 megabytes for $100. 512 megabyte upgrade for $200.
That's not too bad.
Or a 1 gigabyte upgrade for $600. Actually, it's great, especially when you get to a gigabyte. Because if we take a look at here at the Kingston store, which is a nice, average, middle of the road branded memory. Branded memory is important. Buy branded memory because at least you know who to blame if it doesn't work. 256 megabytes. You're paying about $13 for Apple to install it. 512 megabytes, paying about $11. $21 for Apple to install
So they
it.
listen to you.
Apparently they did, because the 1 gigabyte price is $100 cheaper from Apple than it is to buy it directly from Kingston. That's awesome. So just for fun and to pick on somebody else, I went over to Dell's website. You and I have been carrying around 600 M's. And check this out. A 512 megabyte DIMM, $250.
Twice as much.
Well, yeah. Well, it's like $250 for 512 megabytes, which is a little overpriced because they're charging $140 for it. You can't get a delete memory option, which would be really nice. So they're overcharging by about $60 for 512 megabytes of RAM. But check this out. For a single 1 gigabyte stick, they're charging $1,080 $50 a month for it. Let's go look at Kingston. What's the price on that? $713.
$600, right?
Yeah, so it's not just Apple getting more honest on the memory prices. Dell a little sketchy on the memory prices. There's no reason anybody who's building you a system should be overcharging you for memory. They're not buying like 4 months worth of it and stashing it in a warehouse. They don't pay for it until it goes from the truck that's parked by their factory and like crosses into the assembly line area. So check the prices on memory before you buy memory from a system manufacturer. Because why would you? $300. Why waste $300?
Yeah, no, seriously.
Finally, one last thing before we go. Check this out. Office Depot, 250 gigabyte hard drive for $159. That's cheaper than we can find it online. It's basically, apparently it's a $40 sale off the door. Doesn't look like a rebate. $159.97. That's like $20 cheaper than we can find it on PriceWise.
And it says 7,200 RPM too. That's awesome.
Well, yeah, assuming it's the right picture. But even 250 gigabytes of storage for $160. It's getting cheap. So go hammer your Office Depot and see if they still have one of those in stock. Screensavers.com. Click on the show notes. See the ads we took a look at along with our witty commentary.
Awesome. Now, still to come, we'll talk to a software forensics expert about tracking down and catching computer virus writers. And up next, Brad's on the phone. He wants to make his web server easy to manage. We'll tell him how when the Screensavers continues.
That's so cheap. That is cheap.
Don't forget to register for this week's LAN party.
Powered by NVIDIA.
This week's game is one of the hottest games right now. We're all playing it. It's Far Cry. Jack Carver, played by you, becomes stranded on an island paradise and is hunted down by an army of mercenaries. Using a machete, a sniper rifle, a rocket launcher, binoculars, a hang glider, buggies, Hummers, and a whole lot more, you've got to fight your way out. And graphically speaking, I have to say it's the most beautiful game I've ever played.
It's amazing.
It's awesome. I just finished it last night, by the way.
You did?
Yep. All done.
Wow.
It was fun.
I installed a catalytic converter on a car this weekend. You played Far Cry. I'm jealous. And to top it off, not only are we fragging in the LAN party, we're also customizing and giving away our LAN party machines. And get ready, because we're going to announce the winner of our 4th and final LAN party PC. Drum roll, please. The winner of LAN party machine number 4 is Tanya Collins, ladies and gentlemen.
Tanya!
Congratulations, Tanya.
Congratulations. Woo-hoo. Now, just because we're done giving away our gaming machines doesn't mean you can't play in our LAN party.
True.
So go to our website and click on Join Our LAN Party to register. You must own the full version of Far Cry to play, and we'll see you Thursday for the Screensavers LAN party.
Good stuff. Nice machines.
Awesome machines.
And they're nicer than our machines.
Mine's a little bit nicer than that one.
Ooh,
yeah, I did a little upgrade.
But not as good as anyhow.
Yeah.
Brad
joins us on the phone from Kingsford, Michigan. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Kevin. Hey, Patrick.
How's it going?
Good.
How can we help you?
Yeah, I'm setting up a server that's going to be running Red Hat 7.1. And I want to have like a control panel like cPanel or VDEC, but I really don't want to spend like the $1,000 plus for it.
Oh, I can understand that.
Where are you hosting your server at?
I'm just going to be running it right on my house.
Brave man.
Yes, out of the house. Well, I use cPanel. I love it. Have you ever messed around with cPanel, Brad?
Yeah, actually the host company iPowerWeb that I run my website from right now has cPanel.
Right. This is cPanel. You want to pull up a tool, a Unix tool called WebMin, WebAdmin, I believe that's what it's called. This one here is cPanel. I'll show people what it is just for if you have no idea what we're talking about. This here is basically the interface for my web server. So if we take a look at the icons, it allows you to do all different types of things. It installs webmail onto your server. It allows you to add users, add email accounts, park domain, check your disk usage. You can even manage your MySQL databases, your FTP, all your statistics if you want. If you want to find out how many visitors are coming to your site, it installs all the packages there for you. It's a really great tool, and it makes it super easy when you have multiple users working on a single server. So if you and a couple other your buddies are authoring different websites, you can give them a login. They'll have their own control panel in which they can add email accounts or do whatever they like. Now there's a free version. Have you ever heard of this program? Yeah, here it is right here, called WebMin.
Yeah, I actually was looking at it yesterday.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. This is open source. It's a free download. It allows you to do pretty much everything that cPanel does, but it's a little more hardcore. You have to have a better understanding of Unix and or Linux in your case than you would with the cPanel. cPanel is very much for newbies that don't have any experience with Unix or Linux. Give this a try. It's something to install. I believe there's some RPMs for it. You can throw them right on Red Hat. And it's going to give you, look at here, all the options it has here. Well, there's all different types of modules to install, but it allows you to do pretty much everything that cPanel does. But like I said, it gives you a little more control, a little more in depth. It'll actually allow you to launch shells and manage scripts and things of that nature, which the cPanel does not from the client side.
Webmin.com.
Webmin.com. But also to let you know, there are some hosts out there. If your website gets popular enough to where you want to take it out of your house, there's some web hosts that give you free access, like you saw, to the cPanel, and there's InSim. Have you messed around with InSim at all? Have you seen that one?
I've heard about it, but I never really messed around with it.
Yeah, that's another one to check out. You might want to take a look at.
What kind of connection are you running this on, Brad?
I do believe it's a 1 megabit upstream.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice. If you have a 1 meg upstream, no reason you should run it right out of your home, as long as it doesn't get too popular.
Right. Good solid firewall in between you and the network, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I already got a router.
Cool. Sweet. It looks like you're all set. Play around with that Webmin, though. I know that is like pretty much the open source standard for people that want to, an alternative than paying $500 per seat, which is around what the other
I like alternatives to paying $500 per seat.
Free is good.
Good question, Brad.
Thanks for the call, Brad. Now here is Sarah with a quick Office tip.
It's quick, but it's good. Microsoft Office 2003 has an excellent feature that allows you to password protect your Word, Excel, and PowerPoint files. Who knew? Here's how you do it. From any of those applications, just click on Tools, and then go to Options. Click the Security tab, and at this point, under File Encryption Options for this document, type in your password, and anytime anybody opens it from this point forward, they're going to need that password. You also have encryption types options under the Advanced button. Isn't that fun? Now don't go anywhere. Kevin's going to show you the best way to war drive on a Mac. And after the break, cracking the code of computer viruses and catching the culprits, we've got the expert of field for software forensics. He's going to tell us so much more when the Screensavers continue.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose. Coming up in this half hour, I'm talking about war driving, but this time it's on the Mac. And if you've ever wondered about those F keys are, we'll be passing on the secrets to our next caller. But now, our next guest has just written a book about computer viruses and the work of investigators who try to catch the authors of the viruses. It's a relatively new field called software forensics, and the author Robert Slade is here to talk about it. Welcome to the Screensavers, Robert.
Thank you very much.
So, tell me, if we have a new attachment comes in, I've just got an attachment in my email, I have no idea what it is. What should I do from that point? What if I want to find out if it's a virus? My virus scanner hasn't picked it up. What's the first steps to determine whether it's a virus?
Very, very easy. Don't run it.
Don't run it at all.
Yeah, that's the first thing. Basically, it's time to get paranoid. There's so much stuff out there. So take that as your first guide. Don't run it.
Okay, so no running it. Let's just say I want to peer inside it. Maybe check out, if it's a script, or I just want to know a little bit more. I can save it to my hard drive.
Save it as a file. Then you can start looking at it with some tools. You know what you're doing. Open it with Notepad if it's a script. Open it with a hex editor. Have a look at it. That's not going to trigger it off, and you can start seeing. If you see something in that says "Ha ha, loser! I just blew up your disk."
Probably not a good idea to run it then.
Right, yeah.
So how do the pros do it? Let's say you're a Norton or a McAfee and you want to discover what's inside this or determine what the payload is. How do they find out exactly what's going to happen and when?
Okay, the real pros, when they get a virus, they run it.
Okay, but not on their home computers.
No, on a GOAT machine, something that you're going to be able to sacrifice. It's already set up so that you know what the configuration is. You run the suspect piece of software.
Right.
You look for the changes that it makes on the machine.
So if you have an old machine at home laying around and you get a strange email attachment, you could forward it to that machine and then run it on that machine just to make sure you're not going to infect your primary box.
Very much so.
And that's pretty much what they do. Then they re-ghost it and things of that nature.
Exactly.
Now, how about, I know that if it's a script, you can go inside and see what it's going to do, what type of damage it's going to inflict on your machine. But what about if it's compiled? How do you determine what type of damage it's going to do to the box?
Well, then you're going to have to be pretty good at your assembly language programming, at your machine code, looking at the code in there, seeing what you can do. But some of the old guys can do this. They can follow along pretty closely and identify what this thing is actually doing. You also get some indications. You can see text in there. As I say, some of these things, loser, I blew up your disc. It's actually in there as a message, and it's written into the code, and it's in there even in the compiled code in some cases. Sometimes it's compressed, you don't get that, but you do get a lot of indications in the code itself, in the compiled code, that you can use.
Would you open this up in something like a hex editor to view the internal? So how can? But it's random. I've opened things in text editors, and all I see is garbage on the screen. Weird, funky characters. I mean, how do people actually read that?
Okay, you can get different indications. For example, right now you've got NetSky and Bagel going around. Now, don't do this at home, right? But if you get one, if you know what you're doing, if you open it up with a hex editor, one of the first things you're going to see there is a UP1 or a UPX. That tells you this was packed with a UPX packer. Now, not too many programs that you get written legitimately are going to be packed in that way. That gives you a first indication that something is wrong here.
Okay.
You get some indications you have something that's supposed to be, say, the latest and greatest text editor. But you look down at the end of the thing, and all of a sudden you see that there's indications of network connections and references to network files in this thing. Obviously, there's something not right here.
So now what about tracking the creators, the people that put these out there? How are you going to find out who actually did this or who sent this to you? Is there anything a home consumer can do to try and find out where this virus came from? Or actually, how does the FBI do it?
Yeah. Sometimes they make it easy. Sometimes they put their names in there.
They put their name right in
name, address,
Why would
phone
they do
number.
that,
One guy put in a hammer. They want to make their name. It's like writing their name on a bathroom wall.
I see.
Now, obviously some of these guys are a little bit more savvy and they don't want to be connected, but we can take measurements of the compiled software in some cases and generate a fingerprint. You showed the cover of the book there. It's got that lovely little fingerprint logo. I love that.
Digital fingerprint.
Because it is a digital fingerprint. Once you've got a fingerprint, you can't necessarily use that to track somebody, but once you've got them by other means, you can identify them that way.
So what do you mean by digital fingerprint? Is it basically by looking at how well the code is written? How can you profile someone like that?
Yeah, if somebody's doing elegant coding, if they are writing tight code that uses minimal machine cycles, if they are missing all the latest Pentium opcodes in there, they've got an older machine. You can tell if they're used to Windows programming. You can tell if they're used to Unix programming, different cultures and that sort of thing. And there's other numeric measurements that we can make. And again, it's very, very much like building a fingerprint.
Right. So you'll take a look at this and you can say, oh, that's a first-year computer science student, or hey, that's someone who probably has a PhD in computer science.
Exactly.
Interesting. So let's say they have a ballpark here, a Pac-Bell ballpark, just open Wi-Fi to anyone that comes to the park. If I were to bring in a little handheld device with Wi-Fi, I write a virus, I go in the bathroom, pull my cap down, and launch a virus, and then throw that into the bay. Is there any way I'm going to be tracked? What are the odds of me getting caught?
The odds aren't very good of you being caught. Again, maybe you throw that into the bay. If they pick it up, maybe they get your fingerprints of it. Who knows? But even if you cover your tracks that way, we've still got the software. And we can use these metrics. We can use these digital fingerprints. When we get other indications that it's you, we can go back, look at other programs that you've done, match them. Hey, this is the same guy.
Okay. Has there been any cases where they haven't actually found the code, but by the style of writing you can tell who it is, or they've been able to prosecute that way?
Not prosecution, but they were able to identify a guy in Indonesia who did one of the early viruses. He had two different versions of the virus, and they were able to tell which version came first, what the intent was, all kinds of things about the guy. And when we actually did find out who it was, they found out that all of these things that they had found out from the code itself was absolutely correct.
Interesting. So now we've heard of hackers like the Adrian Lamos and the Kevin Mitnicks. Are there any famous virus creators out there? Anybody that we should know their names? Or
the big one in the old days was a guy named Dark Avenger. He was the only one who really sort of made a name that got identifiable, mostly because one of his viruses got misnamed with his name on it. But generally speaking, these guys don't make a big stir because virus writing is not a really skillful activity. And these guys, they try it a few times, and they tend to grow out of it pretty quickly. So, no, you're not going to develop the big names that you are with the break-in people.
So, the viruses I've seen going around lately, I mean, they infect your email, they send out a bunch of nasty messages, some of them perform little denial service attacks. what about, is there going to be a super virus that comes out and starts wiping people's hard drives? Do you ever see something that malicious ever coming down the line?
Oh, they're certainly malicious, and I mean, they certainly do damage and that sort of thing. Whether there's going to be a super virus at, the end of the world as we know it, no, I don't think so. But they can do a lot of damage, create a lot of problems in conjunction with other types of things. So the cyber terrorism people, I think, sometimes they overblow the idea, but malicious software can be used for a lot of different things.
Do those guys have a clue, the cyber terrorists? Are they being able to track these guys down with any success?
I haven't heard an awful lot going on, and I have talked to some of these people. Tracking down, doing the kind of software forensics, it's going to take a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of expense. And so far, I'm not sure that we're quite there yet in terms of really tracking these people back to the origin.
Excellent. Thanks, Robert. Thanks for sharing that information. That was Robert Slade, author of Software Forensics. Track virus creators, analyze code and text strings, examine case studies from real investigations. Great book, good read. You can buy it and actually read a portion of it at thescreensavers.com. Now stay where you are. We've got Mike on the line who wants to know all about the F keys. But up next, war driving and WAP cracking right on your Mac. That's all when the Screensavers continues.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to take off.
Time to check in with the fine folks over at Tech Live and find out what's coming up
I'll tell you
tonight.
what's coming up. Yeah, listen to this, man. You screensaver types, you ever face a tough situation you wish you'd been more prepared for?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, well, police officers do it all the time. And wait till you see how they practice. This is really cool. It's a state-of-the-art simulator. Puts you right in the middle of the thing. The simulator actually reacts to your reactions, escalating or de-escalating the situation, depending, of course, on your actions. And that's Becky Worley right there. She's shooting them up right now. Look out behind you! No, that's just a simulation.
That looks fun.
See that? We'll show you how it works.
I would love to try that out. It looks like a lot of fun. You have video screens around you with a
so
little
good.
gun in your hand.
And Becky had a
everything.
blast with it. She had a really good time with it. And she's funny anyway, so it's a really good package.
Did she bring the gun home with her?
She did not. Oddly enough, it's like one of those little swirly curly things. You can't really
Probably
pull
a
it
good
out.
thing.
It's like it's like the
Down,
pen.
Chris, down!
It's like,
Sorry.
hold on a second. Oh, there we go. I'm prepared. We'll see you at the screensavers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Chris. It's coming up on Tech Live right after this show.
Yes, indeed. But now, it seems like every time we talk about war driving, that is looking for open Wi-Fi access ports with your laptop.
Yeah.
We're always talking about the PC side of things. Well, today it is time for a Mac dark tip. We got one Mac fan in the audience. There's one Mac fan. I give you Kismac. Let's take a look at this here. This is OS 10 for all of you at home that did not know what it looks like. I'm going to launch Kismac, and there it is. Isn't that awesome? No, not yet. We click on scan here, and what's going to happen is it's going to use the wireless card. I got to put my nice little password in here. And it's going to use the wireless card and look for open access points. So in this area here, we have 1, 2, 3. There was a fourth one there, but it went away. 3 open access points right now, and this is actually finding one that has a hidden SSID that can't be displayed. Call for help, and also 2-wire, which is another access point in the area. Now the cool thing about this is it's a lot better than the NETS number. Oh, there's the fourth one. A lot better than the NETS number. Let me show you what it looks like. Oh, there's a fifth one. The traffic side of things. I'm going to click on traffic here.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to give us an awesome real-time graph. This is actually the bytes that are being transferred over the network. Now, what I did is I put this card into what's called passive mode. And so what the card is doing is it's sitting there grabbing all the packets that are going across the airwaves.
But not sending any out.
Not sending any out. It's not even connecting to the Wi-Fi access ports. It's just watching all the traffic flow across. Let's take a look at it here.
So if I'm sitting in a coffee shop, I run Kismac, and I see the one with the really high spikes in it, I avoid that one because it's got the most download activity.
Right, exactly. That's showing bytes right here. Take a look at the bottom. You would avoid the ones with the high spikes. We can go down to packets so you can see how much activity also is going on. That's the packet information. And then the last one here is signal strength. We can choose signal strength there, and that'll show you the different signal strengths of the Wi-Fi access ports. Now, the cool thing about this is different. This is based off a Unix tool called Kismet. You've probably heard of that one before. It's different than your standard network stumbler. This is a lot more hardcore because not only does this monitor Wi-Fi networks, it tells you a lot more things. Let me show you. Let's go into the networks again, and let's pick one of these. How about the call for help? We'll double-click on that, and it's going to show you all of the people that are connected to the call for help router. And
Is
you
that
can
all their MAC addresses?
This is all their MAC addresses of the people that are connected. And it'll also show you how much information they're transferring over the wire right now. And it will capture all that information. So let's say people are sending emails. I'll be able to watch people sending emails in real time as it's being captured over. I'm just capturing
Or
all
if
the
somebody
data.
locks down their system later on, you'll have a MAC address that you can spoof later on. Not
Exactly.
that you would ever, or I would.
No, we would never do that. But yeah, you could type in the MAC address. Also, on the left-hand side here, take a look. It'll tell you who the vendor is. Obviously, links this here, and also some information about it, what channel it's on, whether or not it's encrypted. It'll show you the key, whether it's been resolved. So let's go back to networks. Let me just go into one that's web encrypted. This one's web encrypted here. You can see the key is unresolved, but it's capturing the packets. And if we go into the network up here, let's take a look at the top, and then see this little tab here. It's called Crack. It'll actually allow you to perform cracks on the different types of web encryption.
This, of course, is to make sure that everyone who's used one of these has used a proper combination of letters.
Exactly. You should only use this to test out your own Wi-Fi access port. Never to gain free access, at like Starbucks or things of that nature.
That would be naughty.
No, that would be naughty. Another feature that I really like, let's go into the preferences here. This is pretty cool.
How long does it take to crack a web packet?
It takes a while because it has to find what's called interesting keys. It takes close to, I was told, about 500,000 packets of information. So on an active network like a Star Hut or whatever they call those, I'm not going to say the actual name of the coffee houses, but there's a bunch of them. You could do about a day or so.
Cool.
Let's take a look here. This is the driver, and you can actually click on. I'm using an Orinoco card in this one here, and here's the options here as far as dumping or keeping just the data. If you just want to receive like emails and things of that, so you can see what's not encrypted, you can just choose data only, or this is the weak frame for cracking the information. Now, last cool thing that I love about this is the mapping features. And what it does is allows you to connect to GPS through Bluetooth that's built in through your PDA or your cell phone. So if you have a cell phone, like I know Dan's cell phone has Bluetooth and a little built-in GPS indicator in case you get an emergency, you can press 911, it'll locate you. Well, this will map it out. So it'll show you a map. It actually ties to Microsoft's, I think it's Expedia service, and it will show you maps and little. I don't have. I would demo it here, but I don't have that set up. And also, notice this Kismac service here on the right. It'll actually connect to other users and view their data as far as what Wi-Fi access ports they've discovered in the area. So it's like a whole community of mapping this stuff out. It's so clean and so easy to use and gives you so much more tools and features than something that's, say, like a NetStumbler for the PC side.
But how much does it cost?
It's completely free.
Ladies and gentlemen.
100% free. So the cool thing is that there's all these Unix tools that they're finally starting to slap pretty interfaces on. That's the beautiful thing about OS X is it's based on FreeBSD. So all these Unix developers are porting all these great applications, and just now we're starting to see some really cool programs with slick interfaces, and they're completely free, which is always awesome.
Very cool.
If you want to download Kismac, check out our article at thescreensavers.com. Once again, 100% free.
How cool is that?
Very cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming up after the break, Mike's on the phone. We're going to fill him in on what all those funny F keys are all about. Coming up after the break. Guys, tomorrow's show, are you born a genius? Can you learn it? The story of 6 young math prodigies in the World Math Competition. And Yoshi shows you how to use rotary cutting tools like a professional. Plus, Sarah has name alternative for you that'll just knock your eyes out of their sockets. It's amazing, and it's all on tomorrow's edition of the Screensavers.
But now Mike joins us on the phone from St. Clair, Missouri. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how are you today?
Good. How are you today?
I'm just fine.
How can we help you, Mike?
Well, since about Windows 3.1.1 and up, I've been traveling the country training blind, visually, and verbally impaired folks to use adaptive computers. Well, I'm supposed to be Mr. Keystroke.
Okay.
I got a call the other day from a client saying, up on the far right-hand corner of the keyboard is a key that says F11 or FH. What is it? And I said, I don't know. So I got to looking, couldn't find anything, so I figured I'd call you guys.
That's a great question.
F11 or FH. I've never heard of the FH key.
That's a new one. Now, for folks that aren't really, basically, there's a lot of folks out there who never actually use the F keys on the top of their keyboard, right? So that's a row of keys up here, generally numbered like F1 through F12, and they do some standard stuff. For example, if you hit F11 normally, watch what Google does. F11 basically brings it up to the full screen. If you hit F11 again, it'll bring it down to a small screen. F5 is a pretty standard command. That'll
Refresh.
actually, yeah, that's great if you want to see if files have copied or something, in most windows.
So there's shortcut keys. You hit F4 and
Exactly.
it drops down your list of recent URLs so that you can select. But the keys differ from application to application. Obviously, if
Yes.
you're in Word and you hit F4, it's not going to drop down your URL list. It's going to give you something different.
FH key, though, is definitely a new one.
Could they maybe think that the 11 looks like an H?
No.
No?
Okay.
And see, I've been in the computer business for a long time, and I got a whole stack of keyboards right here in front of me.
Uh-huh.
And there's actually only like 5 of the 20 that I looked at had up in the upper right, the very far right-hand corner key. Some places have got, let's see, actually, let me grab a keyboard real quick.
I wonder if it's a...
Some of these actually have a scroll lock key there.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But there's also some of these that have, in the very far right-hand corner, top of the keyboard, is that key. And I've been going nuts because like I said, this client called me up and he says, "Hey, Guru, what's that key?" I'm like, "Duh, I don't know."
Yeah. Is it the same key or is it a different key? Is it F11 then like space FH?
No, it's F11 or FH. I can't make out whether it's F11 or FH.
Yeah. You can always use a little whiteout and just pretend it doesn't exist.
Well, that's true.
I like
That's
that.
why I called you.
I was going to say, yeah, if it's on F11 and not F12, it's not a function hold key. It's not a function lock key.
Well,
Right.
see, the rest of the keys, F1 through after F12 are there, and then the print screen, the assist lock, the scroll lock, the pause break, and then that key setting off by itself, which is either F11 or FH. My eyes aren't real good. I can't really clearly see what it is.
I'll tell you what we're going to do, Mike. We're going to give a shout-out to everybody watching today. We're going to ask them if you've ever heard what have you seen an FH key?
No, never.
I haven't seen an FH key, and I've got some keyboards that are 20 years old. Let's find out. Anybody know what the FH key is for, what it's used for? Can send us a link. That would be great. Send it to
Sarah.
the screensaver.
Or Sarah at the screensaver.
Sarah?
At techtv.com because she can check the final emails. Hopefully we'll get somebody.
So the Sarah at techtv.com.
That sounds good. Yeah.
We'll see what we can. Good question.
Speaking of Sarah, let's check in with Sarah for a helpful tip.
The FH mystery is going to be solved once and for all. I'm sure of it.
That's right.
Our website gives you the latest scoop on what's happening with our show. You know it, you love it. But if you're looking for exclusive content, behind-the-scenes dirt, you're going to need our newsletter. Go to thescreensavers.com. Scroll down till you find the free newsletters box here and just click to subscribe. Once you're a member, you're going to get a daily newsletter about upcoming shows, personal notes from the web team, or even one of our cast members. But best of all, it's completely free, peeps. Good stuff. Stay where you are. Next up, we're going to check our inbox, answer your emails. FH, here we come, when the Screensavers continues.
It's that time, Sarah. What do we get in the email?
Well, first of all, this whole FH thing, most people think that it's just the function key. FN, and I've had a few people say, it's a weird font, it just looks like an H, but it's not. And then James Davis says, unless I'm wrong, it's used to lock or unlock the regular F11 key to
Function
stop
hold.
from accidentally full screening pages.
That's what someone in our audience said. They said
Yeah.
it was a function hold key. Interesting.
Makes sense to me.
Who knew?
And we're up to like 170 emails on this, so we're going to filter them through.
Yeah, like my inbox is like, everyone wants to talk about the FH key.
We'll make a good web article.
Yeah.
Ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay. This one is from Damien. Last week there was a question about using an external hard drive. Kevin mentioned a box that could be used to convert an internal to an external drive. What was that box called?
An external hard drive enclosure. Yes, you can buy branded ones. You can buy ones from companies you've never heard of. But basically, you walk into the computer store and say, "Hi, I would like an external hard drive enclosure," and they'll go USB, USB 1.1, USB 2.0, FireWire, or all of the above, and answer it based on what ports you got on the back of your system.
There you go.
Yeah.
Next email.
Okay, Mark from Council Grove, Kansas says, I have Windows XP. How do I activate Java in my browser?
Well, if there's a lot of things that are requiring like Java 2 now. You can go to java.com and there's a little download. Actually, if you have Windows, there'll be an ActiveX pop-up that comes on there. Click yes to agree to Sun's Java. It will install the proper version of Java. If you're using something like Firefox, you can download it manually, and then it will install so that'll work on Firefox as well.
Sun.com, Java.com, download it, install it. For a while, it was funny. You get the ActiveX thing, and it would just refuse to tell you where to get Java.
Yeah, I know that was a Microsoft thing, but Sun's taking care of that. Java.com.
Good stuff. One
Next
more?
one?
Okay, one more real quick from Puma. I've seen the DMG format a few times. What is that? How can I view it? Is it another one of those underground formats?
It's not really underground. It's just a Macintosh file format. You just double-click it. It stands for like a disk image. It mounts an image on there, opens up so you can run applications. It's a common download. You'll see on sites a download.dmg files.
Mac-only thing?
OS 10 only, yes.
That's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to thank our guest, Robert Slade. We'll see you next time, and have a good night.